So over the weekend, comedian Monique went public with what she saw as being, I guess in her words, an insulting offer from Netflix for an upcoming comedy special. Apparently, she and her representatives, which I think is her husband, went to Netflix and said, "Yo, look, I'm hot right now. I'm a legend in this game. I need y'all to break me off some money." For an upcoming special. So they went back and forth like people typically do when they do negotiations. And Netflix came back and said, "Look, I'm going to offer you $500,000 for this special." Monique apparently was very insulted by that offer. And as opposed to going back and saying, "Hey, how about we negotiate a little bit more," or going to HBO or going to Showtime or going to Amazon and saying, "Hey, I think I can make you guys some money. Give me this bag." She decided to do the most boneheaded negotiating ploy possible, which is go on Instagram Live and release a video in which she told everybody about how much Netflix had offered her, and then also said it was insult. And then she played the race and gender card as part of the whole, as part of the whole thing as well. I gotta tell you, man, this was just a dumb move in so many ways. And the biggest thing that she tried to do was to basically make this a racial thing by saying that Amy Schumer was offered $13 million by Netflix. Likewise, that Dave Chappelle was offered $60 million and Chris Rock was offered $40 million. Louis C.K. got a big deal as well, even though she didn't mention that. And, she mentioned all these people, I guess, to say that, Netflix was not respecting the fact that she was a legend, and likewise was insulting her with that offer. Specifically, she honed in on the Amy Schumer and the fact that she got, $11 million initially. She went back to the table citing Chris Rock and, Dave Chappelle, and then she used that as justification for, getting $13 million. When you throw these things out there on the surface, it does kind of make it look like Monique has a valid point. Amy Schumer was offered a lot of money. Monique was offered a comparatively small amount of money. And if you look at it just at, face value, yeah, it looks like this is a racist situation where a black woman was offered far less than her worth and a white woman was offered the world. Reality is, though, when you throw out numbers without a whole lot of context, you're creating, I guess a situation or creating, an impression that something is what it might not actually be. A good example is Amy Schumer. Okay, she threw out the fact that Amy Schumer, was offered $13 million for her special. Here's reality, though. Amy Schumer, when she negotiated that deal with Netflix, had just had a movie in the theaters called Trainwreck. It was a debut movie which she wrote. It was directed by Judd Apatow. It was very well received by critics, and that movie made $138 million worldwide. Amy Schumer, by the way, made $300,000 for that movie, if I understand it correctly. Amy Schumer also had a best-selling book and a Comedy Central, weekly show. So she was hot at the time. She was popping. Reality is, if you want to be real about it, she was probably the hottest thing in Hollywood at the time. So for her to then go to Netflix and say, "Hey, give me that bag," yeah, they gave it to her because they thought, in the grand scheme of things, that $11 or eventually $13 million would turn into far more for them, when they, did the final map. So she had that sort of negotiating power because she was hot at the time. Now, fast forward 2 years later, I seriously doubt that Amy Schumer could get another $13 million from Netflix. Why? Because she's cooled off since then. She's had a couple of movies that have not done particularly well. And, the last special that she did have on Netflix didn't go over particularly well either. I'm an Amy Schumer fan, I can be honest. I thought her last special was not that good. I didn't even finish watching it. So again, Amy Schumer can't get that sort of money from Netflix anymore. If we back up a little bit, though, Monique, using Amy Schumer as an example was kind of boneheaded. A better thing would have been to, compare yourself to someone who was on your level. I don't know, Andrew Dice Clay, Natasha Leggero, throw out some other names of popular comedians who are maybe not as hot at the moment. Dane Cook is probably a good example as well. Dane Cook was the biggest guy in the universe for about a 2 or 3 year period in the mid-2000s. He was filling up baseball stadiums. Dude is back to doing the Poconos now. So, again, showbiz pays you not on who you used to be or your quote-unquote resume, as Monique likes to call it. They pay you on how popular you are at this point and how much they think they can make off of you. So she was way off point on that. A better example was the fact that Wanda Sykes actually went public after Monique, raised her story to say that she was offered less than half of what Monique was offered from Netflix. And, she took her services elsewhere to Epix and she recorded a special there. Now, we don't know how much she got from Epix, but reality is, that is the only other reasonable data point that we have, to compare against Monique. Wanda Sykes, who is probably more popular in the grand scheme of things, if you want to look at it in terms of universal popularity, than Monique. But, for all intents and purposes, I guess you could say that she's someone that's on her level. Well, she was offered half of what Monique was offered. So this whole assumption or assertion, rather, that, she was getting basically paid nothing because she's black. Well, Wanda Sykes' example kind of blows stories in that holes in that story. Damn, y'all know what I'm saying. So I got to say, man, with Monique, reality is, sis, you got to get your weight up. That's no pun intended. You're not hot right now. That Oscar win was in 2010, and it was for a dramatic role. And I know you've been touring since then, and you had roles in ensemble comedies. I can't name a single one of them. But, you squandered your opportunity when you won that Oscar. Most people, when they win that Oscar, they cash in. They are able to cash in. They're able to move on to something else. Octavia Spencer's been in a million different stories or a million different movies since then. Halle Berry was able to play fucking Catwoman after winning, her Oscar. If you want to look at some other examples, I don't know the lady's name on, How to Get Away with Murder. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but you know who I'm talking about. She cashed in and she got a network show that's very well done. So it's not like Hollywood does not reward black women, after they win an Oscar. But the thing is, you got to strike immediately while the iron is hot. You can't wait another 8 years and then say, hey, give me my money. That's not how it works. People pay you based on how relevant you are at the moment, how hot you are, and the biggest factor is how much they think they can make off of what they pay you. So Monique miscalculated here. I'm sorry. That's reality. You need to go out. You need to tour some more. You need to get your profile back up. You need to engage people more on social media. These are things that people are measured on now. Relevance, not your resume, not something you did 10 years ago. So I wish her the best. I hope she goes out. She's able to raise her profile, and then she's able to maybe go to another service like, say, Showtime or HBO and get the money that she thinks she deserves. But people don't pay you what they think you're worth. They pay you what they think you are worth to them. That's what's up. Yo, JTS Show. I'm out.